What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves. Hi, my loves. Welcome to another great episode of the All Around. I am your gracious host, Dr. Anthony, and we have some exciting topics to talk about with you today. So make sure you tune in, click like, share, and let's get to the business. We also have the beautiful Miss Ida B in the house tonight, and we also going to have Mark, the producer, my producer. He's going to join us for some hot topics and some hot conversation. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring out the beautiful Miss Ida B.
Hey, everybody! Oh,
Hi.
I look like I went on the farm. I got my favorite wig. Oh, honey, when it gets so hot outside, it
Um,
is so hot outside.
yeah, it is
So,
yeah.
but yeah,
It's
it's so much to talk about. Let's just get into it, girl. Me and my wig, and let me get my coffee. I feel like drinking some wine, but my hot flashes can't take it.
oh,
But
I
yeah,
understand. Let's go ahead and bring out Mark and so we can go ahead and get into this thing. So how are you?
I'm doing good. We've had a bunch of good events here at the Hayti Center. We actually had a person that spoke on a unknown historical figure, so that was fun on yesterday. And then we've had a couple of the kids were doing their youth arts intensive on Saturday, so that was a good event as well. So they were over here learning everything from uh, definitely dance and doing some other things in that space. And definitely they were in the past. They've done robotics and some other things. So it's good seeing
Nice.
the kids learn some new trades, everything from poetry to dance to a number of other things that they are involved in. And that's once every 2 weeks. So they were here this past weekend. They'll get a week off, then they'll be back on the following weekend. So they're doing that
well,
Oh, that sounds
consistently.
amazing.
It
how
is.
old are the kids? When you say kids, are they teenagers or
No, these
young
are
youth?
actually young kids. They're anywhere. There are a few teenagers, but I would say the youngest it might be around 6 or 7, on up to like
Oh, okay.
14 or 15. So we're getting these young kids involved in robotics. So that's and even involved in drones. So they're learning how to operate drones and other things that are
Nice.
things that I didn't have in my school. So they've got it. They're learning about it outside of the school, but still, it's good to see them in that space and learning some new things that could even be
Mhm.
trades in their life and everything in that way. Hey, I got a quick question for you. And well, one is a serious question. I know we're going to get to a
Mhm.
serious topic, but the other one is there is, speaking of
Mhm.
historical figures, there is a famous Ida
Yeah.
in the world, that being Ida B. Wells. And I was just wondering
Mhm.
if you have the name Ida, were you ever named after Ida B. Wells and all in that space, or did you just happen to have that name because your family liked the name Ida, or were they thinking, hey, there's this great educator, Ida B. Wells, and we need to name Ida after her?
I know. I did. Actually, I was actually named after a famous Ida in the family. My mother ran away when she was a young girl,
Mhm.
and a woman named Ida took her in. And Ida and my grandmother was best friend, and my grandmother stole Ida's husband. And it was so funny. My grandmother would never call me by my first name. And when my grandfather died, she said, there's a person that you were naming. Ida was just like me. She was happy. She was bubbly because she know my grandmother got the short end of the stick. And then my aunt said, but Ida took your mother in because my sister was named Sonia, Michael, and James. And I had this odd old Irish woman name and nobody would tell me the history of my name. So when my mother ran away to New York at 16, Ida, despite what my grandmother took her in, and when she had her firstborn daughter, she named me Ida. And Ida means happy, and I think it suits me. But you look at the history of your name. You know how some cultures is a big deal, and or they
Mhm.
merge. And so yeah, and I like Idaho potatoes. Potatoes is actually my favorite vegetable. So I could never eat potatoes in school because it was Idaho potatoes. So yeah, I had to eat potatoes when nobody was watching. But I love any potatoes. But yes, that's
Well,
how.
okay.
And
Well, like I said,
then Ida B. Wells.
the,
Mhm.
the Ida that I was talking about, Ida B. Wells Barnett, was actually somebody that Dr. Anthony could relate to because she was a prominent journalist, activist, and a researcher in the
Yeah.
late 19th and earlier 20th
Mhm.
century. And in her
Mhm.
lifetime, she battled sexism, racism, and violence. The same things that
Mhm.
we're battling now. So she was dealing
Mhm.
with that even back in those particular times, and it
Of
was over there
course.
from around Mississippi. And I'm glad to say that she was I sometimes will follow some of the aspects of the astrology, and apparently she was a fellow Cancer because I got that July 1st birth date, and apparently she was born
Mhm.
on July 16th in the same year, but 100 years
Okay.
before, because she was born in
Well, see,
52.
I see. I.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yep. But the thing that I was curious about, and I was
Mhm.
wondering if you watched it, because I would
Mhm.
just be lying if I said I didn't watch parts of it. I did hear some people that were complaining because they said that with all that money that the Royals have, that they could have given a much better show and all in that space. But did you have your TVs glued to the television watching the coronation of the king? Because I did hear some people complaining. They were going like,
No.
"Hey, I I even had one friend that told me that they refused to watch it, but they couldn't find anything else on TV, so I think they wound up reading a book. But because every television station seemed to have had it.
I'm a,
I go
no.
ahead.
It
Well,
was
it's
my
another
birthday
thing.
weekend. I was not spending my birthday weekend watching a whole lineage of white racists being coordinated and continue the lineage and the legends of white racism and white supremacy and all that good stuff. I did not do it. I was out enjoying myself, for my birthday weekend and stuff like that. No, I did not watch it, but I do have some commentary about it. So go ahead, Ida.
For you
Before we
too. I
go.
saw that there was a brother that, like I said, the brief probably 5 minutes that I saw, maybe even less than that. There was a brother that was walking with a limp. I'm assuming he might have been part of the Butler crew, but he was walking into the space of the coronation. So he had some sort of role, and I don't know exactly what the role was. I just know I happened to look up the TV and go like, "There's a brother going into this coronation. What is he doing here? And
Mhm.
what is his role in this particular
Yeah.
coronation?" And I did see that he was walking with a slight limp and all in that space. But if anybody's watching and has any idea who that brother was, please let me and the crew know because I'm sure that even Dr. Anthony is like, who was the brother?
I have no idea, but I mean, just to talk about what you were saying about the people saying that it was basically boring. I mean, the whole coronation is about rituals and
I
traditions
think
and things like that, whatever. So, huh? So it's about rituals and traditions, and some of the things that the public was allowed to see was not the actual, rituals that they do behind closed doors, and the things that they do in terms of preparing and preparation and things. And remember, this is like an old family. This is like old history. So they have rituals and they have things that they have to do that we would never see. But go ahead, Ida, before I go to the next topic.
No, I was trying to pull that up. I think the thing with King Charles, where he goes from boring to people didn't want him to be king because of their love for Princess Diana. I think he, people didn't want him to be king. I think, unlike like when Obama became president, people were excited when people are the first. This is, it was the ceremony was long. I was hitting some of the highlight and trying to find the brother, but I think because of all of the issues after him, the Meghan marrying to the family, people don't like Charles, and that's unfortunate. They don't like him because the princess died. Prince King Charles, which is awesome to say now, is almost in the Bobby Brown boat. People hated Bobby for marrying Whitney, and they couldn't get over it. They just could never accept it. And they made him marry Princess Diane because they wanted him to be righteous, and they like she said this ritual, and him and his side chick was getting on. He was in love with that woman. He's still in love with, and so it's almost like she got the last laugh because they didn't want to call her Duchess. we think they gave Megan a hard time. They really dragged her for the filth because
And they should have.
She and him was having an affair, and
Mm-hmm.
they didn't want him to marry her because I think she'd been divorced. And so I think it's hard to garner up excitement about him. And he looks, because people feel the thing about us, we're loyal to people.
Mm-hmm.
And Princess Diana had been dead many years now. I think we loved her. And I think because when people think of England, they still think of Princess Diana and they think of her children. And I think, and even the fiasco behind, was he making comments about his grandchildren? So I think people just didn't, they're like you said, do I want to watch it? Nah, because you have moments it's a historical moment, but no, I'm sure nobody watched it. Even they said even the people, the locals weren't really lining up.
Yes, I heard
So
that. I heard they weren't lined up, and then you talked about his brother, who is also part of this activity. He did come from L.A., but apparently they put him in the back of the room and definitely kind of gave him the cold shoulder, and then he flew back home to L.A. to attend to his own kid's birthday party, and all in that space. So,
But
what
I
was
mean,
y'all?
but the thing about it is, Mark, it's like actions speak louder than words. In one sense, you're talking about I'm not a racist and I'm not this and I'm not a bigot and I'm not that, but you're proving every time through your actions that you are. When you shun your nephew and your niece because of their black mother and because of his black wife, then you that's racism. That's racist. When you don't speak to your brother because he married a biracial woman who happens to have a black mother, that's racist. So your actions speak louder than your words. But the thing, the killer for me is you have the gall and the audacity to sit there and say, you condemn racism when it's on, the football field, when they're over there running around playing soccer for the athletes, but you don't condemn it in your own home because you're part of the problem. You are the racist. You are the one who is spewing all of this, that girl. Why she has to be that girl? You didn't refer to any of his white girlfriends as that girl. It wasn't anything special because he took her to Botswana. He takes everybody to Botswana. Well, maybe he do take everybody to Botswana, but did they have the connection that they had over in Botswana? You know what I'm saying? So they were trying to diminish the relationship way before it even started. Are you sure about this girl? Or do you want to marry this girl? Why had to be this girl? Or, why couldn't it be this young lady? You know what I'm saying? And then they always put, her against Kate or whatever, which I think Kate is ugly to me. You know what I'm saying? She's not attractive to me. Yeah, she's ugly. And she looks like an old white woman who's aging very badly with the wrinkles and everything. Yes, she does. The only thing that she is skinny, because I was looking at a picture of her and her daughter today, and I was like, God damn, the wrinkles. Cover that shit up. You know what I'm saying? And they always want to say, how beautiful she is, and how Megan can't stand in her shadow. Girl, please, you can never stand in Megan's shadow. You can never stand in any black woman's shadow because you aging like banana peels or whatever. But the thing to me is, she was part of the whole hoopla with the racism as well. But nobody wanted to say anything about her or whatever, and trying to say that Megan made her cry. No, she actually made Megan cry when the whole thing, the fiasco about her wedding and things like that. Because one thing that I don't like is when women of other races, especially white women, have the audacity to tell black women how we're supposed to act, how we're supposed to feel, how we're supposed to respond, how we're supposed to do anything other than what they want us to do. The sheer caucasity of it, that just irritates my soul. It just grinds my gears to the point where it just makes me just dislike them. You know what I'm saying? So it's just it's the actions for me.
Well,
You
speaking
say
of things about speaking
actions
of things,
says something else.
no, I hear what you're saying. And speaking of things that might irritate your soul, and all along those lines, I got another one that might irritate your soul as well, because there has been some shootings that have taken place, and
Hold on,
guess
before
what?
you get there, I want to hear what Ida has to say
Oh,
about the whole
sorry.
about the whole what?
about the whole royal family and everything or whatever, because I just feel like they come from a lineage of racist and racism, and they don't see it as being racist and spewing racism. And even when they had the situation with the black lady and the woman asking her, like, no, where you're really from, like she wasn't born and raised in the country. and she wasn't from there, like she was from, you know, somewhere else or whatever. It's just, you know, it's those microaggressions, and it's that subtle racism that they don't see that's actually racist, and that's actually, you know, like bigotry and, you know, things like that or whatever, because they try to say it in a nice manner and in a nice way. They don't see it as being, you know, oh, she's racist or she's not racist, you know, things like that. But, you know, it's like all the women came out the woodwork, you know, the trailer park from under the tree, you know, all of them, the stump jumpers, the country backwoods, you know, hoedown, whatever. White women came out to say, oh, he shouldn't have married her. Why? Because she's part black. And you thought he was going to marry a white woman? What, being black, because she's part black with a black mother, she's not worthy to be his bride? She's not worthy to be his princess? So that's basically what they're saying. And even with the whole fiasco of her sister Samantha coming out with the foolishness about, you know, oh, how close we were. Girl, you was never close to Megan. And then, like, you know, she was saying that that she had, you know, basically, you know, defaming them and stuff like that, because Megan said she grew up as an only child. So in Megan's world, Megan is an only child. She is her parents' only child. You are a half sister, just like I'm a half sister to both my siblings. I'm my parents' only child or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's not defaming anyone, but because y'all want to be some leeches and y'all want her money and y'all want the notoriety, you know, you're always bashing her and things like that. Just with the other white women that's always bashing her. Oh, she broke up the royal family. No, the royal family was already broken. You know what I'm saying? It was already there. All that stuff was already there. It was already highlighted. And Prince Harry did not want his wife to suffer the same fate as his mother did. So I don't blame him for getting his wife out of the situation and taking her to a place where she can live in peace and where she can flourish and where their children can flourish and where their children can live in peace. Ida?
Oh, what is that movie that it came out, Mark? You might remember too, T. It's
50 Shades of Grey?
No, it's a movie about prejudice and racism. I can't think of it. And I think Will Smith was in it years ago. It's an old movie. And so to me, what I've learned about wealth and racism,
We can't hear you.
Yeah, she just faded out. What happened there?
Ida, we can't hear you.
Nope, she faded out.
I don't want you to go off. But what I've learned about that is different levels of racism. You know, back in the day before he got thrown on the bus and he lost his show, Tavis Smiley used to do a very eloquent job of talking about race in Black America, and he began to differentiate between prejudice and racism. But I then, as the man, the name start with a T and end with a P, and just like the brother named it begin with an O and M with an A. What we realize, racism is actually categorized almost like in other countries, what they call them a caste system. What is that system where it's broken down to levels? Caste, thank you. And so what ended up happening, what I have discovered with the royal, they're at the highest level of racism, meaning to the point that these people are so detached from their behavior, they don't recognize it. So when they begin to get flooded in with their behavior, of course they reject it. They don't even know what you're talking about, because to them, they're racist to everybody. They're racist to poor people. But that's what I've discovered during COVID and politics. It is actually a different level of racism that people can tolerate. So what people try to do to the extremely wealthy, billionaires at high level, they always say, you remember they had a young boy that killed somebody, and they said he was so wealthy he didn't understand that running somebody off the road was wrong. And so what I have discovered in the American system, and even in England, that they said these people so well, they don't understand racism, because they're removed above it. So I like how, you act like Megan is like your second cousin. I appreciate that, boo. But you do a very heated dialogue of like her sister trying to ride the gravy train. But I think for Megan, she was very naive. I think Megan, because she was in the Hollywood circle, she's very like, my sister would say she had the complexion with the connection. And I think she was very surprised that she married into a wealthy family. I think she was unprepared for it.
Well,
I,
speaking
I,
of that,
I think she was too. But the thing about it is, I understand you can be a bigot. I understand you can be a racist because I don't like nobody, white, black, whatever.
Right.
I don't like nobody. And I let people know I don't like you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not picking and choosing because of your race. I'm picking and choosing because I don't like your ass. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is, even if you are that way, this could have been a teachable moment. This could have been a moment that you have moved forward and catapulted yourself and the family into the 21st century. You still operating as if social media don't exist. You still operating as if, we're back in the days and we love y'all white asses. We don't love y'all. Like who said that? We don't love them hoes, Snoop. We don't love them hoes. You know what I'm saying? So you're still operating in that mindset of this is like a forced love or whatever. And what baffles me the most is they get black people from over there to talk about Megan and say the stuff that they want to say but can't say because they're not black. And my thing is, y'all have the black audacity to talk about this woman when they came over and robbed your countries and stole your land, stole your diamonds, and stole all your resources and damn near bankrupted all these different countries, and y'all have the black audacity to defend these people. That's what pissed me off.
Well, Dr. Anthony, I'm about to piss you off even more because we're going to go to the tape because this is a tape that I found from 2 or 3 years ago that talks about the roles and their thoughts around racism. So let's go to the tape.
Is the British royal family racist? In the month of March, Meghan Markle put Buckingham Palace under a spotlight. She said racism had driven her away from the royals, and since then the palace has struggled to recover. Now more explosive allegations have emerged. In the 1960s, apparently, the Queen's staff banned coloured immigrants or foreigners from working at the palace. And that's not all. The palace sought exemptions from workplace equality laws. There were laws in Britain that the palace did not apparently follow. And the Queen was exempted by lawmakers for more than 4 decades. Here's a report.
I can give you an honest answer. In those months when I was pregnant, all around this same time, so we have in tandem the conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title, and also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
Those words shook up England. Meghan Markle claimed that at least one royal had concerns about how dark her son's skin would be. It wasn't the first time that the British royal family faced charges of racism, but this time it was coming from within. Now, fresh disclosures from the archives of the palace have revealed institutional racism. At least till the late 1960s, the Buckingham Palace banned ethnic minorities from office jobs. A British newspaper has accessed some documents from the British National Archives. They reveal how those working for the Queen wouldn't allow hiring of coloured immigrants or foreigners. They were allowed to work only as domestic servants. Going by the documents, the alleged racism wasn't limited to the Queen's staff. Apparently, the palace actively negotiated for exemptions from laws that would have prevented discrimination on the basis of race and gender. In the 1960s, British lawmakers introduced laws to enable equality at the workplace. But the Queen remained exempted from those laws for more than 4 decades. In their defense, palace officials said they have records of employees from ethnic minorities since the 1990s. But they didn't say when the ban on minorities ended. This report has only brought the attention back to the royal family's past. British royals have been accused of turning a blind eye to racism. Experts claim the Queen has never apologized for racism by previous monarchs. The Meghan Markle interview revealed that racism still very much exists in the royal family. These revelations from the past will only make the present more difficult for the monarchy. Bureau Report, World is One.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.
All Mark. But I mean, it just goes back to everything that I've been saying. In one sense, you're condemning racism, but you don't talk about your relatives and your staff who are actually racist who are doing these things, and you don't condemn that. And so that's what I have an issue with Prince William and Kate and all that stuff or whatever, with his hairline receding, his bald head and stuff like that, and she looking like an old antique witch. But that's my issue. That's my concern. They're still, like I said, living in these old antiquated ways. And, Meghan could have been a fresh start for the royal family, but you're showing your true colors. And so my thing is, are they even relevant? Why do y'all still want them? And if I was over these Black nations that's still paying out money to these people, I will fight for my freedom and I will stop paying out money to these people.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what is odd to me? I have several friends that are African and Caribbean. They seem to lack the comprehension of slavery, but they can explain the
colonialism
over there. And I always thought that was odd, and I still think it's odd of these relationships that we have been conditioned to. But as I watched the footage, she loved Obama. You never seen the Queen smile, but when Obama's came, she loved the Obamas. Oh my gosh, she loved the Obamas. So you say, what shifted in the 90s that caused that shift? And do I think you can change the moral compass of a person over a period of time? You can, but it's an uphill battle. And even if Meghan got accepted, it would have been all for publicity. They tried to see when she came in, she went with snitches get stitches. You're not going, and if she never had that child, she might have tolerated some of it. But people are tigers when it comes to their children. You see, she tolerated a lot until she became pregnant. And then once she became pregnant, they said, oh, what you ain't gonna do. Meghan became better, like, what you ain't gonna do. And is that behavior still there? And then she explained in the interview with Oprah how they found out that they was in cahoots with the media, press, and they was feeding this narrative. And I'm sure that young lady had been devastated. I'm in love with this royal prince, and she didn't know the magnitude of what she was doing. And the sad part, he appeared to be quite naive to their level of racism. He was always the wild child, the black sheep. He always went against the norm. And they said if he was living right, if Princess Di was living right, he would have been more of her character than Charles. And Charles is his father's son, but Prince Harry have always been like his mother, a rebel, went against the norm and stuff. So they have accepted him dating these lower class women, but as long as they was white and bright, they could handle it. And so to us, as we think of royalty, our version of royalty, somebody tried to say that Kardashian, we almost vomit in our mouth. Our version of royalty for many years was perceived as the Kennedys, remember?
Yep, the Kennedys were definitely royalty, and they got one of the Kennedys is thinking about running for president. He's actually declared that he's running for Biden's seat. But this royalty thing is nothing new. I'm here in Durham, North Carolina. There is a picture of one of the dukes, that being the royal family here in Durham. There's part of the Duke tobacco money and all of that. And just to your point, one of the dukes was known for spending more time in the neighborhood, meaning in the hood, because he was liking the way that the sisters were treating him over here, and he was liking the music and the culture. So he was known for being a little bit of a rebel in that sense, much in the way that Harry is seen as a rebel. And he definitely was not treated all that well by his siblings and all in that space, because he was definitely going to be a little bit more adventuristic and all in that space. But the thing I was getting ready to get to, and there's two of them I was ready to get to, I don't know if we get to both of them, but there's another thing that is a royal sport that takes place. And, I saw that there were more brothers involved in it. We even had the quarterback of one of the teams that actually, one of the football teams that actually started it. And a lot of people get excited and have been excited in the past by the Kentucky Derby, which is a big fashion show. And apparently we are getting more involved in that than we have been in the past, but now people are concerned about the animal rights because apparently there have also been the most deaths of the horse that have ever taken place in a while as well. So what is y'all's thoughts? Is this the king, the sport of kings, because that is the nickname for that particular sport? Is it going to lose its luster because of these deaths, and is it going to gain some luster because we got all these celebrities, including some of the Packers and Patrick Mahomes and a number of others that are even actively involved in the ownership of the horses? I was glad to see that it was a collective, like a group collective, that you can own part of the rights of the horse that actually won. So it wasn't like one rich person that won. It was a collective that you could buy stock within the horse and all in that space. But what is y'all's thoughts about that, the Sport of Kings, which was this weekend as well?
I mean, I don't think it's going to end. I mean, because you got to follow the money. Look who's making the money off of it. You know what I'm saying? Rich white people, you know, so quite naturally it's not going to end. If they wasn't, you know, benefiting from it, you know, they would, you know, be marching and doing all kind of other stuff, animal rights and stuff like that. But, you know, I don't see the animal rights, you know, protesting the, you know, the horses and things of that nature, because they just had 2 horses die at the end of the you know, Kentucky Derby. So they're not protesting that or whatever. But you know, these white people out here protesting, you know, oh, you can't wear fur, you can't wear this, because I would dare one to throw, you know, anything on my white fur or whatever, because it's gonna be her ass or his ass, because I'm gonna fuck him up or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So you know, my thing is they pick and choose where they want to go and who they want to target and things like that or whatever. So no, they're not going to target you know, the Kentucky Derby, because like I said, you have to follow the money.
No, you definitely have to follow the money, but try 7 or 8 horses. It wasn't 2. It was about 7 or 8 horses that they said that were killed this time around, because some of them had physical injuries like broken legs. Some of them had misdiagnosed medicines and other things that they were given. So there were a variety of reasons. But yeah, it seems like it was a little bit more than usual. So whether
so you think, let's just put it into perspective. You think they're gonna stop running and making money just because 7 horses died? How many people have lost their lives and they still selling AR-15 semi-automatic rifles? And you know, those mass shootings, and you know, they so-called claim that they can't, you know, do any gun reform or anything like that. You know, you always got to follow the money because the NRA is, you know, behind it. But like I said, every black person in America needs to go out and get your join the NRA, get your rifle, you know, whatever license or whatever, and watch they start making plans then and change.
Well, that's where I was going with the mass shootings that I brought up earlier when we wanted to hear from Miss Ida, and I was rightfully needing to hear from Miss Ida, and definitely I hear where you were going in that space. But apparently the latest mass shooting is being blamed on the neo-Nazis and the white extremists, because that is what has happened in Texas.
Well, let's just get down to the nitty-gritty. I'm glad you brought that up, Mark. Let's just get down to the nitty-gritty. Let's talk about these Karens and how they raising these racist ass, you know, terrorists, you know, because they always want to talk about black women and how we raise our children. Let's talk about these white women, these Karens, and they're spewing all this, you know, this racism through their children, through their offspring. Let's talk about that. You know what I'm saying? How they're raising these domestic terrorists and, you know, these domestic killers, these neo-Nazis and things like that or whatever. Because when black women, when you had a mammy raising your kids, we have this, you know what I'm saying? We had some clear direction. We had some, you know, we had some understanding, because the black woman was raising your child. But now since the Karens are taking over and raising their own children, you know, they just got fuck up after fuck up after fuck up. Excuse my language, but y'all know what time it is. Like Beyonce said, the Karens out here being terrorists, and their offspring are being terrorists.
They're totally being terrorists, and there's definitely some serious racism going on, and they're training them in that racism. I had the pleasure, and I was, to your point, I had the pleasure, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, of interviewing for Pod TV a brother down in Albany, Georgia, who has got a Christian school that he founded at the age of 23. So King Randall has done that. But one of the things that he said that he is doing, in addition to teaching Christian values, which some people may like, some people may not, is that he is teaching those kids down in Georgia how to operate firearms. So I actually thought that was a admirable thing that Mr. Randall was doing, who is a brother that is 23. So he's trying to teach them some very necessary things, but you know, he doesn't want them to have guns and not know how to operate the gun. So the fact that he teaches them how to use the firearms, I have no problem with. But other people may be
Well,
like,
I don't have an issue with you having a gun. It's just your mental capacity. But like I said, when you're raised in hate and spewed in hate, what's going to happen? You're gonna disseminate hate. But that's that's the conversation that they don't want to have. But because if we look at history and go back or whatever, white women were more racist than the white man, especially towards black women and black girls. They wasn't racist towards the men because they was fucking them or whatever. You know what I'm saying? No, they were. And things like that. And so since the beginning of time, they have been lying on men, talking about they were being raped and stuff like that, but they actually enjoyed the sex. And they're always after the black men and things like that or whatever. But they want the black man, but they don't want to deal with the black culture, and they don't want to deal with the black women. So my thing is, today we're gonna keep it real. We're gonna call a spade a spade.
Okay.
That's what she said. She said she was going to call it as it is. And that's what Dr. Anthony does on a regular basis, and rightfully so. They've got to call those things out when it's needed to be called out.
I think Ida done broke her pearls.
Oh, geez.
I think Ida broke her pearls.
Mark, you just antagonized. You just poked the bear constantly, Mark. You be like the singer. I take her there. I take her there every time. I take her there. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with what she's saying to a certain extent. Because I have to protect my brand if these videos ever are discovered. I'm like, and they say, and what was you saying? I said, well, I was drinking my coffee and put my Invisalign. I don't. What was I looking in the camera?
Well, tell them Dr. Anthony's brand is for black women that look like you and I, me only, not for the pale people, not for people that age like banana peels, not for people that don't look like me, not for other women. It is for black women. I am a black woman. It is for black women. Okay. Okay.
Well, I think the thing, the opportunity that we're at right now, every decade, I think as we get into different generations, I think the world is evolving. It's a different place. And I think a lot of things that was tolerated are not going to no longer be tolerated. And I think as Black Americans, we need to speak out. How can we be a part of being the initiator? Well, you got so many grassroots efforts going on. My thing is always with the church. I have a degree in Christian leadership, and I looked at the dynamic of the church. I think 3 things polarized the United States in the last 10 years: Obama, Trump, and COVID. And I think as we shift and we are being honest with ourselves about really America, Black America, and white America, I think the Dr. Anthony's of the world, minus the profanity, you are what I call the CNN backdoor breakfast club. And your voice need to be heard. But I think when I talk to the everyday Black or American, I think the thing that always concerned me, what will it require to make people plug into their communities, their neighborhood? What will it take to make us get angry enough, a call to action? And I think I'll give you an example, as we have certain holidays and things come up, I think a lot of traditions that we have, I think the most alarming thing that have happened, to me, or learn about this year is the transgender, them operating on these young people and letting them get sex change, and some things we do have to stand up for. And I think when it comes to racism, issue of racism, I think people are just so overwhelmed. They don't want to participate in these uncomfortable, well overdue, transformational conversations. Because if somebody was listening, they say, "Oh, she's a racist." No, she's well informed, and she's structuring these conversations with intentionality to provoke you. These conversations that you have and we have, they're very thought provoking. But and it's thought provoking, like you said, to go back and change a person. People get mad with the truth when we seen January 6th, the day the world seen America for itself again. And then people say, well, that's not who I am. But okay, and so we have a divided country. You have white America, black America, and then you got this wealthy America, which some of them are white and black. And so I think, like you said, you get in conversations with the everyday person, some people just want to worry about themselves. And you and I always end up on the same part of truth. Am I my brother's keeper? Absolutely we are. But when you get into, when I talk to people, I think sometimes people initially I thought people was not dumb. People just don't care. And so these conversations are to make people care about what is going on. And it shouldn't be blood on the ground or everything to make you care. All these young people dying and, getting shot and different stuff. And like you said, the Constitution wasn't written for the Black America. It was written against us. And people hate to hear the truth. Mm-hmm. And so truth without transformation is really painful. So I think a lot of time when we talk, I think people don't know what to do. So they check out, they go on vacation, they act like nothing's happened. They watch Usher, the Chris Brown jumping on Usher. And I think the thing with the Black community, we have to get beyond just wanting to be entertained. Mm-hmm. We have to find some way to make ourselves sustainable. We are the biggest consumer of everything, mm-hmm. but yet we lack wealth. We have seen what we have taken, what we have done, and let someone patent it. We have let people come into our culture and leech off of us, whether it's leeching off our means, our music, and all of that. And I think we do have to generate a turnaround. We have to find some way of turning things. So that's my story. And, I do need to get these. I can't bring my real pearls because you've been to make me clutch them and broke them. I want to wear my family Dollar General pearls next because you are off the chain, girl, off the chain.
I turned 49 over the weekend. I'm
Happy
just
birthday.
Thank you.
You almost hit the big 50. You just get to live your life and everything. So they had 49, 50. The one is to hit that 60 mark and about to hit that 61 mark. Yes,
I'm turning the double nickel this year.
You're turning the double nickel, the 5-5 speed limit is what I used to call it. You're turning the speed limit.
Yeah.
But I mean, like Ida said, some things just need to be said. Yeah, could I have said it differently? Yes, I could have. Was I going to say it differently? No, I wasn't, because I wanted that wow factor. I wanted that effect. And what people don't understand about me, when I say things, I'm very deliberate with what I say. Mm-hmm. And I'm very, like I said, I'm very deliberate, and I say things purposely or whatever. So it's not anything that, I regret or anything like that, because once I said it, is what I said, and that's just what it is or whatever. And, I'm not going to take anything back. I'm not going to walk anything back, is what I said. Mm-hmm. Am I sorry? No. Will I apologize? Mm-hmm. No. Am I hurting feelings? Yes. Your feelings need to be hurt, because you need to understand the truth. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, everybody can criticize a Black woman and say, get the laughs and, hee and ha, and things like that or whatever. But then when it's when the criticism is on women of a different race and the women of a different hue and women of a different background, it ain't funny no more, right? Oh, but you bitches was laughing when it was about Black women. You know what I'm saying? So, let's just keep it real. Let's just talk about the Karens and, the racism and that's not me. Oh no, it's exactly you. Because when you sit there and you say nothing and you do nothing, you're a part of the problem. You became really a part of the problem when critical race theory came about, and when you voted in Trump, and when you voted in the governor of Virginia, when he said that he was going to go against critical race theory. So we know that you're a part of the problem. We also know that you're a part of the problem because you voted against your own best interest, and then you wanted Black women to step up and step out there and say, oh, we're going to band together. No, bitches, we're not banding together with you. You know what I'm saying? You created the problem. You created the monster. Handle your own stuff, because it was never about us. It was about you. But that's what you voted for. So guess what? Deal with it. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, they always go out there and step on a limb, but they always want us to play Captain Save-A-Ho and, come back, save them in the interim or whatever. But we're not doing that or whatever. And just like, for example, when this young man was on social media in Miami, and he was like, I don't like Black women this way, and I don't like Black women that way. Black women can't do nothing for me. Foreigner, I think he was some part of African tribe, one of them, or whatever. So he got killed by his white girlfriend. So then,
I remember that.
The family wanted Black women to rally behind him. Nah, nigga, it's what we do that at. We're not rallying behind your ignorant ass son who said that black women could not do anything for him. Black women couldn't support him. Black women was this, black women was that, and you wanted your Becky, and your Becky killed your ass. So nah, we wasn't rallying and supporting you, and we would never rally and support you. But
Hey,
that's
Dr.
just
Anthony,
the foolishness,
there's a
behind
lot of foolishness going on. Speaking of foolishness, I was going to get to the other topic that you said you wanted to get to really quickly because I can't wait to hear what Miss Ida has to say about this and everything. But as I told you earlier, I heard about a new one because there a lot of folks are trying to find love and they're even trying to find it at older ages because I've heard of people in their 50s and 60s that have looked at different apps, including Millionaire Match. So they're trying to find a millionaire. And of course, there are folks that are trying to find Christians. So they're looking at Christian Mingle. And a friend of mine turned me on to something called Hinge, which I didn't even know what a Hinge was.
One of my girlfriend, my neighbor met somebody on Hinge. I think it's an older group. The club, the nightclub, the booty call just came through the phone, a couple of years ago, I was very single, and I decided because I look at things as a mathematical problem, opportunity. So I went on multiple dating sites because I say it's a numbers game item. And what I discovered, you're the hottie of the week. This is the point. When I was in my 40s, I had men in their 50s who wanted to date me. And people would go like, wow, you don't look your age. But a 55-year-old man don't want to date a 55-year-old woman. He wants to date a 40-year-old woman, a 35-year-old woman. He wants to have a baby mama and different stuff. And so when you go on there, now I be asking people about the ABC. Do you have asthma? Do you have blood pressure, cholesterol? Do you have GERD? Do you have herpes? Do you have gout? And dating is different once you get to a certain. Do you have a 401k? Do you have what is your retirement plan? Do you have a passport? And so things that you never thought that you. What is your credit score? Things that are not really that important that are really important now. And so now I have my friends that they say, well, older people do friends with benefits. We just do it differently. People do things. I think when you look at dating, when I was on there, men would lie about their age. Men lie about how tall they are for whatever reason. They lie about how tall they are. Women
don't.
No, women. I'm a hobbit. I probably stand up and y'all wouldn't even realize I'm just that short. And then men were like, well, I don't, and I think, I say to people, I think we got a standard expectation. I think a lot of us are going to miss out on love later in life and different because we are still stuck on certain things. Even though I laugh at my boo-boo kitty right here about not going on a cheap date and different stuff. When my friends they're in the 60s, they say, honey, at this point, he wants a nurse or a purse. So these are very odd conversations. But I think people can find love at any point. I am the last. I'm the last single person in my group of friends because I'm not married. And one day my girlfriend sent me something saying somebody got married at 100 years old. And so I said to my friends, I think we live in a family environment. I'm dating a guy. I have been invited to more events because I'm coupled up with somebody than when I was single. And I said, oh, that's unfair. Well, people are married and, they want you to come with your boo, your bae. So they, I think it's awkward. I think it's unfair. But I see people that are married, they're in these double digits. And I think they say married because it's cheaper to keep her financially. I've had one guy on a dating app. His wife actually came and said, we're just together until we get our kids through school. People have all sorts of situations.
But along those same lines, there was an article in today's New York Times that talked about that because apparently some of the sisters and some of the other folks are actually getting off of these apps because they've been on them for years and haven't had any success. So there's actually an article in today's New York Times where there was a lawyer from Harlem, Defy Brown, that said that they'd been definitely on those spaces and definitely lived in other parts of the world and had been on things like Tinder, Hinge, and Bumble, and she said she had always seen Tinder as a long shot in terms of leading to something serious, and Bumble, which requires women to send the first message, was too much legwork. Like I was telling Dr. Anthony, apparently Hinge is all about the algorithm, so they've all got different
Oh yeah.
ways of going about it, and apparently this particular person said it's like another job. As much as I value companionship and relationships, I don't know that I value it to the point of burnout. So apparently it's adding to the burnout factor.
And one of my friends and one of my I tell people I was a date again. I tell people I would you get what you pay for. These apps are free. They charge you $4 or $5 or up to 20 to engage. You get what you pay for. I had one of my executives. She was on It's Just Lunch. It's $5,000. Is a matchmaker. They sort of vet people, but the drawback to that, you can't meet the person until you show up. She was tall. The guy was short. I think, like you said, Doctor, when we talk about life and love, I think, we can control our education. We can control a lot of things. We can control who we fall in love with once we meet somebody. But I think at the end of the day, those things stop being as important. I remember in my 20s meeting women in their 40s and 50s, and they was unattached. They were not married to someone. And they would just focus on school or their children or grandkids. And I just thought that was odd. I thought it was boring. People ask me, well, how do you like being single? I said, I've been single all my life. I've never been married. Very content. If someone comes along that I can partner with and I think I could get married to, absolutely. I don't buy into the narrative that I have to have someone to complete me. I enjoy, you and I talk all the time. I can travel by myself. I tell people I came in the world by myself, because you're not going to have someone meet all those needs. But what I used to help my friends with those dating apps, the system can marry you up with somebody. They said, based on what you're saying, this is the ideal person, but you can't override chemistry. You can meet someone that you're compatible on paper, but you're just not interested in that person. So,
No, that's absolutely true.
And in the DMV, they said this is the worst place to date other than Atlanta or San. You got some areas that are just so heavy saturated with the ratio men to women. Back in the day when you was in your 20s, you either date a co-worker initially. Most of my friends had married a co-worker, a classmate, or someone in college. And after a while, people will ask you, hey, you sing, I know a friend, such and such. Your friends would be a dating app. They would say, hey, Ida, come over here. You remember some of my friends, they met their husband at a cookout or family, gas stations. But I think me and my co-worker was dating the same guy on a dating app. He was on all the dating apps and different stuff. And she said, well, what? And I was maybe a couple of years younger than, and I said, well, he had 10 kids. I went on one, and I said, nigga, Roger, you need to get your tubes tied. And he had a nerve to ask me that I want a baby. I said, well, and so, I think it's slim picking out here. I think it's a sad reality.
Ida, speaking about slim picking, what do you think about folks that are getting not just instant families, but instant grand families? Because, life throws people different routines, different things that happens in their life. Because I know that there have been even some women in my life that have definitely kids, and I've even had some that have shown me pictures, and it's like, oh, do I really want to step into that? Because that's going to be like not just an entire family, but an entire grand family as well. So I'm just wondering your thoughts as one that has of the similar age range, a little bit younger, but a similar age range to mine. And I do know that
I think once I got 40 in my 40s, now you're getting with people that have teenager kids, they're getting ready to graduate. Now, the closer you get to that 5, then you having people that got grandkids. You got all these situations. And I think coming from a large family, it's 12 of us. I think I'm the only one that's not married, with the exception of my sister, who's been with her fiance 22 years, and nobody cares about that anymore. They just, and people, I think we have been conditioned to decide what life and love should look like for you. And I think for me, it was a hard pill to swallow that, I was single and I didn't have any children, and I wanted to marry someone that didn't have children. And with each birthday, I had to concede. Then one day I just had to wave the white flag. That person don't exist. Then I had to start conceding that people had multiple marriages. They had multiple baby daddies, baby mom. Then I had to start conceding people have grandchildren. And so you give up something as with each birthday or as time goes on. But I think I have some things I just stand on, you know, whether it's religion, good credit, or passport. Most of my friends now that have been married or divorced, most of them say, I just want someone I can enjoy, a good companion. I'm not interested, because at this point, you're getting into your own wealth. You're saying this person, you know, you getting into prenups and all of that, because you got a certain amount of facts you got to deal with. If you bring a certain amount, you know, I hate that expression now. What do you bring to the table? You know, I bring a 401k, I bring retirement, and you got to look at that. You got to say you getting ready to share your whole financial wealth. You have been consistent with yourself. This person have not really got it together, and so I think it's unattractive. That's why I think people say, "Will you ever go on a dating app again?" I said, first of all, the reality you go and think about it's nowhere humanly possible. You go on an app and you get 100 people attracted to you. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You know, you and then from my ego point of view, when I would help clients, it can destroy your ego. You get excited about someone, and this guy is dating 5 women, and you know, and the dick pitch and what you're doing and lingo. And I think after a while, people get tired. They get burnt out. That you know, one of my friends, I'm part of Women That Travel. I think, and you then have to find a niche for you. You said, you know, think about if your friends are all married and you want to go, like I want to go to Bali next year for my birthday. You know, most of my friends are married or they have kids and grandkids. So I draw on a group of women that travel. So I have the freedom and the protection of traveling while I have to, like me and TT is a travel bird. Oh my God, she just, you know, well, you have some of your friends that don't have the same interest and they throw you on the bus. Oh, wait, because you're not married, don't have kids, but you just have some people not interested in that. So, you know, certain things you just give up. What about you, T?
So, I mean, you know, that's just one side of it, but I tried like dating apps and things like that. And I just, you know, typically I get on the dating app just for fun, just to see who's going to hit me up and, you know, stuff like that. Because 9 times out of 10, it'd be like grandpas who want, you know, like younger women and stuff like that or whatever. And I never respond to anybody on the dating app. So it was this one, for example, it was this one guy, he was white. And so he was like, you know, you're beautiful, whatever, you know, the same spiel, you know, blase, blase. So I had time one Saturday morning. So I was like, you do know that I'm black, right? Because most white men and other men think that I'm mixed and I'm, you know, not fully black or whatever. So, you know, I have to let them know, no, I come from 2 black parents. So I was like, you know, you do know that I'm black, right? And he was like, you know, oh, I don't see color, red flag. That lets me know that you see color. So my thing is, I was like, so I see you have a picture of Trump in a army uniform. What's the significance of that? Oh, you know, Trump is a rebel. He did this, he did that. I said, well, you do realize that most black women do not, you know, buy into the ideology of Trump. I said, so, and then I said, so are you prepared to date a black woman? I said, because you're going to get questions about, why did you choose a black woman and not a white woman? And I said, are you prepared to handle those conversations? Or are you prepared to protect me from your friends and, you know, your family and things like that or whatever, from the people that you call your friends who call me a nigger behind closed doors or who call me a nigger when I'm not around? Are you prepared to defend me? Why that dude deleted his whole profile? But you have to ask those type of questions because you looking at, you know, oh, she's beautiful. She's this, she's a doll. She's, you know, But are you prepared to deal with the, you know, the outrage and the consequences that's gonna come along with dating somebody outside of your race? And apparently you wasn't, but that lets me know because you deleted your profile that you wasn't even mentally or adequately equipped to have those conversations surrounding race and things like that or whatever, you know. So I challenge the status quo when it comes to, you know, like those dating apps and, you know, people on there that hit me up and, you know, things like that or whatever. Because like I said, 9 times out of 10, if I'm on the dating app, I'm just on there just for fun because I'm not looking to actually date anybody or whatever. It's just, you know, sheer entertainment for me.
Well, you mean you just swipe it left or swipe it right just for the fun of it? Because I know some other folks, myself included, that have done that as well. So sometimes it's just fun to do the whole little routine because it is sometimes a fun activity and you're not actually all
Not you, Mark. I think way better. Now I know she for the street sometimes, but you,
For the streets. I'm for the
Mark,
streets.
Hey,
no.
got some ways about me as well. But I will say one thing to you, Ida, that I am an admirer of, and I know that maybe Dr. Anthony likes things a certain kind of way, but I will not be beyond going beyond a thrift store to get some good clothes because there's some good items at a thrift store. So I would definitely say thrift can be a way to go and all in that space. I actually have some friends that have owned and operated some thrift stores. So definitely I'm not going to knock the thrift store clothing and all in that space. So I can definitely
I think, like I said, Black women, we are fetish, we are fascination. But as you was talking, I thought of two people, Kevin Samuel, who for years was trying to go viral, and he found his niche, and his niche was us, and
Mhm.
and his favorite thing, I can't make this shit up. And now you have a female offset version, Kendra. I think she has a YouTube where people come on her live and they try to date. And so I sit sometime with a glass of wine and I laugh and I almost want to cry. You have these people come on and she said, "Tell me why someone should pick you." And she said, "Are you married? Are you having sex?" And she asks these people a series of questions. You have very educated people and you have very delusional people come on there. People would come on there and they would just laid up with somebody an hour ago. And she said, "Well, why don't you be with this person? Oh, he's an F boy." And so I think for the Black culture, because I really don't really, when I would go on a dating site, I would be hit up predominantly by white men. I would have white men want to date me. And I think Kevin Samuel said it best. The thing about the Black women, we want our Black king. We get, and the Black king ain't dedicated to us. You know, I'm a realist, and I would say, what if the person God had picked for you is from another nationality? Are you open to that? Now, if you
Jesus.
huh?
I said, fix it, Jesus.
Yeah, but like I said to people, I think Kevin Samuel, I loved him. He was very radical. He understood his assignment. Kevin Samuel had a page for 10 years. Nobody was coming for. He had that young lady come on and he said from 1 to 10, Beyonce being a 9, what do you think? And the woman said he was 8, and he dragged her. He became viral, and he began to see that was his lane. I think Black women, we are such an easy target when it comes to.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Bless you. Miss Ida and Dr. Anthony, I know we're winding down and everything. I will let you know, both of you, that as one that is associated with this lovely Pod TV network and everything, that is something that they have been
Sorry.
the idea of having a Pod TV dating show. So if they get that, then the both of you may be candidates along with myself for being along with that, along with the gentleman from Australia, because I know he is also in the single space as well. So Pod TV has been floating around the idea of creating a Pod TV style.
I don't know if they want me on their dating show.
It's a niche. It's a niche. I think I'll be good for like one of the coaches or just, I'm a love junkie. I believe in love. I believe love wins it all. But I think at some point people are very unrealistic. I think men. I remember my father, God bless his soul, when he became a widow, he was 45. He had my mother who was 35, and he was dating a woman 55. He by default picked the younger woman. You know, I think sometimes age and certain, you know, like Black women, the only one won't date nobody under 5'8". You see Mexican, all these other cultures, they be hobbits 5'2". But I think sometimes our defense, we are our own worst enemy. I think, you know, when we watch these dating shows, Love is Blind, Ready to Love, you know, one or two of my friends was on it. And so I said, "Hey, why didn't you let me coach you?" I said, "You were talking crazy." He said, I know. And I said, "I didn't know that I didn't know you had colorism going on." And so we got so many issues that keep us from love. So yeah, you know, I you know, so I think it's a marketing genius. People are in love with.
Like I said, it's something that's been tossed around, and no, Dr. Anthony, you won't get off the hook. They will probably find a way to get both of you and Shaquille, who can also be very abrasive as well on the show. And
well, they just have to be ready for whatever comes, because you know I'm gonna say whatever comes up. They just gotta be ready. That's all I'm gonna say. They just gotta be ready. They just gotta be ready, you know. But yeah, I want to, thank each and every one of you for tuning in. To my beautiful co-host, Miss Ida V, to the gracious and the knowledgeable Mark Lee, the producer. Thank you guys for tuning in to another great episode of the All Around. We will have some more juicy topics next week that we didn't get a chance to discuss this week. So make sure you guys tune in, click like and share. And with that being said, the clock on the wall says that's all, y'all.
Bye, everybody. Do your thing.
What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves.